On Monday, we concluded by asking what the authorities were likely to do with their dealings next with Jesus. Yes, they decided they wanted him out of the way, but how to go about it? That's what they will have been asking now. And while they were probably still thinking about it, the answer fell right into their laps. Judas came to see them with a plan. And as it says in verse 11 of our reading today, they were delighted to hear this. Why? Well, I think it's like I said on the card for today. Judas could give them information, particularly about location. They couldn't do anything while he was in the temple. They needed to do something away from the crowds, and for that they needed an insider. They needed Judas. As to the reasons why Judas made this journey towards betrayal, well, they're somewhat unclear, and the only person who could really give us an answer to that is Judas himself. Of course, to our way of thinking, with our post-Easter heads on, we can't imagine why anyone would want to do that, can we? Someone who spent the last 3 years living with and learning from Jesus? Simply didn't make sense. He would have been there when Peter acknowledged that Jesus was the Christ in Mark 8 verse 29. He would have seen the things that he did, the miracles, the impact that he had on the lives of the people. Was he thinking about betrayal by the time Jesus entered Jerusalem on what we now call Palm Sunday? And if he was, would he have been slightly shrinking back in his praise and his shouting? If he wasn't, will the others in the group want to him? Was it a spur of the moment thing? We don't really know. Of course, by the time the Gospels were written, Judas had done what he had done, and his name was an object of hatred. In any list of the disciples that you find in either of the 4 Gospels, his name always appears last. The writer of the 4th Gospel is particularly harsh, referring to him as a thief. Now, that may have been the case, we don't know. And that may have been his motivation for selling Jesus to the authorities in the way that he did, for such a large amount of money. If it wasn't, then clearly there were other forces at play in the life of Judas that made him do what he did. But whatever it was, when Judas went on this journey to betrayal, he set in motion a chain of events that was only going to lead to one place: Golgotha.